Oh, by the way, I really noticed that everyone has their moments of anger, a lot of moments of anger and passion. There's a lot of that going on throughout all the seasons with different people, right? And a lot of it has to do with friendships that, people seem really upset that their friendships are being betrayed, and that the trust is being betrayed, the boundaries are being betrayed. And for you, what I saw is that a lot of times you were the peacemaker. For at least the beginning of it, you really struck me as the person that would get involved to try and calm everyone down. So as we get to sort of the end of the show, to have you be the one that got into trouble legally seemed, interesting, shocking. I don't know what the word would be to me, because I didn't see that in you. Do you know what I mean? Like anyone else you would bring up, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. But I didn't know that I saw that in you, even though you were portrayed in a number of different ways. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I guess what I want to talk to you about is, how do you feel like the show portrayed you, and in what ways do you think you fed into that, and in what ways you tried to really give your own narrative?
Allowed me to, because they're trying to feel us out, right? And they invested in us. So they knew that they could, in ways, manipulate us to do what they want. Because once the money started to get good and you wanted that money to keep rolling in, mm-hmm. all of a sudden, the producer who was smiling and pulling you aside and talking to you, their words became more like Bible, like, man, I got to listen to this person. Oh, this person has a pedigree where they did X, Y, and Z show, mm-hmm. and they took those shows into huge franchises. That person obviously wants the best for our show. I should listen to them.
Yeah.
Right. And then I started to lose sight of who I really was, because I was listening to them. The cast of the show started to self-produce and create more drama. So mm-hmm. I started to see them for who they really were. Mm-hmm. And then it just started to create animosity between me and them. In the beginning, I really wanted everyone to be peaceful and have fun. And I was like, what are you guys doing? This is crazy. And I didn't want our show to be like that. Like I told you, I wanted to represent our culture. Mm-hmm. And after season 1, everyone would be like, yo, man, you're my favorite on the show. You're the only one that I watch that actually is normal. And I was like, no, man, the rest of them are normal. They're just, they just act up for the show, because I wanted to protect them. Mm-hmm. Right. And they really weren't as crazy as they were coming across on the show. But as time progresses and these people who you become close with, like family, start to betray you and attack your character and do things behind your back to create drama, you start to get bitter with them. And then mm-hmm. you're forced to still hang out with them and grieve your differences in front of a camera.
Yeah.
Because if you don't tell your story, they will. And these group of nerd editors that sit in an editing bay for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours a day, like watching you, they're getting notes from the network saying, hey, no, do that scene again, but I want them to look this way. I want Mike to look this way. I want Gigi to look this way. So like Gigi in the beginning looked like a knife-wielding, insane person. Mm-hmm. Right. And then towards the end, they're like, okay, that's not working anymore. We need to change her up a bit. So she became the Wusa calm mother. Right.
I'm just curious though, who was she in reality to you?
She had those tendencies, obviously, but it wasn't like she was always like pulling knives on people. She also had to, if you knew Gigi, she was a very sweet, loving, kind person who was very soft on the inside, like a coconut, soft on the inside, just had a hard outer shell because she just didn't want to get hurt. But they exploit whatever they want about you. And then God bless our fans, they would take whatever they saw as reality. Mm-hmm. And they didn't think like, yeah, maybe he's not that way. And here's the funniest part. I'll meet people, gym, on the street, wherever. 9 out of 10 times, people will be like, man, I really thought you were an asshole. And then I got to talk to you And you're standing here and you spent 15 minutes talking to me, and I've expressed all these things that are going on in my life, and you've given me insight. You've given me an ear. You're really a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know why you got the idea that I'm an asshole, but I get that all the time. And then I realized, damn, this project that I was part of really did a great job of making me look like something I wasn't.
Right. So I want to talk to you about that concept because, a lot of people say, reality TV makes you look like someone you aren't. And they can, edit you to look a certain way, even though you behave a different way. Do you agree with that?
Okay. So I want to be fair. I don't want to be a victim in all of this. Do I have anger in me? Of course I do. Right? It takes a lot for it to come out. Mm-hmm. I don't walk around angry. I walk around smiling. I walk around happy. I'm very optimistic. But, there's times where I get upset, and when people spend that much time with you, they know exactly what buttons to push to trigger you, mm-hmm. And it wasn't necessarily things they did to me. Like one season, Reza went after MJ, mm-hmm. and I took their beef and made it my beef because I didn't like the way Reza was handling that situation. Mm-hmm. No money in the world should make you say certain things about people. It'll never go away. And I even posted about that today. Be careful what you tell people because it'll play in their minds forever. Yeah. And this might have been a moment of anger in your life where you said something that you didn't mean, but that person will carry that with them for the rest of their life. So I try to come from a place of love and kindness, but there was times that I blew up on the show and they exploited that shit. And, Mike has anger problems and Mike said this and that. So yes, they do a good job of making you look like something you're not because they take something very small and they blow it up and continue to play it and then continue to revert back to it. And, it just keeps playing over and over again throughout the entire season because that one clip, if it got a lot of clicks or a lot of viewers, they're like, okay, that's the one. We got to go play it back. And throughout the season, they keep editing. So the show is not formatted and then it comes out. It's formatted and then they make tweaks.
Right. And that's important for people to realize. There is a narrative that is created. So you may have some anger in you, which, by the way, a lot of people do. They're passionate, right, about certain things.
And we're passionate people.
Yeah. Yeah. In certain situations. But they may leave out the part where you're rescuing dogs on the street and you're helping old women cross the road or whatever it is. They may just create this narrative that fits for your character. Also, you had some issues with being loyal with the women you were with, right? So of course they, that is your issue, right? That you're dealing with. But I think that in a reality show, they put the spotlight on stuff like that. And if it's something that's a pattern, you really get stuck with those stigmas because those are the things that it stands out with people as opposed to the arc of someone. And, as a person, when you meet someone in real life and you get to know them, you see the entire gamut of who that person is. You see everything, but just in a reality show, you just see little snippets and that's what creates a narrative. And I think that can be what's really dangerous because then people think they know you based on the smoke and mirrors of what is a narrow vision of reality TV. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better, and I did have infidelity issues. I went through 2 real relationships on the show. My ex-wife, who we cared about each other. We loved each other, but we weren't in love with each other. And we got married, even though we knew we shouldn't. Mm-hmm. And we try to make it work because to keep face for people. And when you're not in a happy relationship, people do things. She did things that I didn't air out because I tried to protect her. Now looking back, I should have brought it up. I didn't. But she did a great job of showing the world, where she ended up and what she ended up doing. And, my laundry was aired out on the show. Hers wasn't. She's an amazing person. We're friends to this day. And, thank God, both of our paths ended up in a happy place. She's happy. She's moved on and she's doing her thing. And then with Paulina, that was just, again, so stupid. I feel horrible about it. A lapse in judgment where for one day in the middle of COVID, having text conversations with someone who I'd never met, who I met on Instagram, who started off by like, hey, your story really resonated with me. I'm going through a divorce. Can I please ask your opinion? And she was a pretty girl. And I was like, okay. And then it went from that to baiting me and talking about stuff. And then by the end of the day, just 12 hours of talking, throughout those 12 hours, I was like, whoa, what am I doing? I'm going to get myself in trouble. And I did. It was just stupid. And it got blown out of proportion. And, hindsight is 2020. Right?
Yeah.
When you're in the fame and you have these beautiful women who want your attention and you're trying to be good, the devil in me got the best of me and I fucked up. And I feel guilty about it to this day. And I realized that I hurt Paulina, I hurt myself, I hurt our families. I wish I can go back in time and fix it. But I realized that, and I'll tell you the truth and be very transparent with you, I did not like myself while I was on the show. I became a human being that resented the show, resented the cast. I resented myself. I hated Ryan Seacrest. I hated Bravo. It was just, when they were like, we're coming back for another season, it was like, oh man, I had anxiety because I was like, fuck, I have to film with these people again for another 3-4 months. What are they going to bring up? How are they going to try to destroy my life this season? How am I going to have to retaliate? And then, okay, I got to get a new car. Okay, I got to get a new place. I got to get new clothes. It was this thing that I truly did not like anymore.